Hi everyone, my name is Serena. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am sitting on my bed in another angle of my room because I have all of my books here. All the books that I read in 2020, all the physical ones, because I have read a few audiobooks and ebooks, but it felt more comfortable this way, so they are all here and ready to pick up. But I'm here to talk about all the books that I read in 2020. I did this every year since 2016. I'm going to do this again this year. How this works is I'm going to show you the book, show you the rating. I have a playlist with all of my wrap-ups if you're interested in my thoughts. Based on these ratings, I'm going to tell you which ones are my favorites and which ones were the most disappointing in my opinion. So let's begin. First of all, I want to talk about the stats. I'm just going to go get the Goodreads stats. I have read 57 books this year. It's the most I've read ever. Last year I read 52 and now 57. So I'm reading more and more every year and I'm happy about that. I have read 18,171 pages according to Goodreads. I have to start checking if I'm reading the hardcover or the paperback because that changes. The number of pages changes in that case, but more or less 18,171 pages. The shortest book that I read was the short story by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie about Donald Trump or Melania Trump. And the biggest book that I read was Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer, 662 pages. Average book length in 2020 was 318 pages, so average. The most popular book that I read was The Hobbit, and the least popular was Romeo and Giulietta, hashtag Romeo and Giulietta nel 2000 niente. This is an Italian book. My average rating for 2020 was 3.7, which is fine. I don't give out 5 stars easily and I never give out 1 star. So here are all of the books. I'm going to talk about them. Let's start off with January. The first book that I read was The Wide Window by Lemony Snicket. I gave this one 3 stars. You're gonna see all of these books from the series of unfortunate events in this video because I read the entire series. Then in February, because in January I didn't read at all because there were exams and I needed to prepare for Liverpool, so I didn't have my mind on reading. In February, I only read 2 books because I was at Liverpool and I was trying to get used to my life there. I read The Miserable Mill by Lemony Snicket. I gave that one 3 stars. And I read It's Not About the Burqa by a bunch of authors, and I gave this one 4 stars. In March, I only read 2 Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie books. I read We Should All Be Feminists. I give this one 5 stars. And I read Dear Ijawele, or A Feminist Manifesto in 15 Suggestions. I give that one 4 stars. So in April, when I came back from Liverpool, that's when I started reading much more than the first trimester of the year. I read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I gave this one 3 stars. I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave this one 5 stars. The Austere Academy by Lemony Snicket. I gave this one 4 stars. I enjoyed this more than the 3rd and 4th book. The Arrangements by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I gave this one 2 stars. Then I read Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I gave this one 2 stars. And finally, in April, I read Forbidden by Tabitha Zuzuma. I gave this one 2 stars as well. In May, I read 5 books. I read Birthday by Meredith Russo. I gave this one 4.5 stars. Then I read Night of the Dragon, the 3rd and final book in this series. I gave this one 4.5 stars as well. Then I read Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I give this one 4.5 as well. A lot of 4.5s in May. The Ursa's Elevator by Lemony Snicket. I gave this one 4 stars. Persepolis by Marianne Satrapi. I give this one 4 stars. And that's it for May. Then in June, I read 3 books because exams again. I read God's Grave by Jay Kristoff. I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read The Vile Village by Lemony Snicket and I gave this one 3.5. And finally, I read Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I gave this one 3.5 as well. Moving on to July, I read 8 books in July. I read, or finished, Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I gave this one 4.5 stars. You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. I gave this one 3.5. Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. I gave this one 3 stars. Slay by Brittany Morris. I gave this 4 stars. The Hostile Hospital by Lemony Snicket, 3.5 stars. White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. I did not rate this one. Animal Farm by George Orwell. I feel like I haven't talked about this one, but I give it 4 stars. And finally, hashtag Romeo and Juliet nel 2000 niente. I did not rate this one because I skimmed it towards the end, but I did not like it, so I guess the lowest rating. Moving on to August, I read 4 books. I read Rainbow Rowell's Wayward Son, the second book in the series, and I gave this one 3 stars. I read Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer, and I gave this one 4.5. Just nostalgic, that's it. Then I read Pretty Little Liars by Sarah Shepard, 2 stars. The Carnivorous Carnival by Lemony Snicket, I gave this one 4 stars. Moving on to September, I read 3 books. I read The Slippery Slope by Lemony Snicket. I gave this one 4 stars. The last book in Nevernight, Dark Dawn by Jay Kristoff. I gave this one 3 stars. It was more disappointing than the other ones. Then I finally read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. And I think I did not rate this one. Let me check. Yes, I did not rate this one, but it was good. October, I read 8 books. Now we're talking. I read so much more this season. It's crazy. I read White Rage by Carol Anderson. I did not rate this one. I read The Grim Grotto by Lemony Snicket, 4 stars. And then I read a bunch of thrillers. I read The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, 4 stars. My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite, 3.5. You by Caroline Kepnes, 4 stars. The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, I gave this one 5 stars. The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter, 4.5 stars. And finally, Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, I gave this one 4 stars. November, I read 6 books. I read Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion, 3 stars. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, 4 stars. Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi, 2 stars. Landline by Rainbow Rowell, 3 stars. And Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout, 4 stars. And of course, The Penultimate Peril by Lemony Snicket, I gave this one 4 stars as well. Finally, let's move on to the last month, which I already uploaded a wrap-up yesterday or the day before that. I read 9 books. Hopeless by Colleen Hoover, 2 stars. Anxious People by Fredrik Backman, 4 stars. The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan, 4.5 stars. The End by Lemony Snicket, 3 stars. In a Holidays by Christina Lauren, 3 stars. The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta, 4 stars. Fox and Socks by Dr. Seuss, 3 stars. With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, 5 stars. And Cress by Marissa Meyer, 4 stars. So those are all the books that I read this year. As for my least favorite books, obviously we have Pretty Little Liars, Shatter Me, Hopeless, Sorcery of Thorns, and Forbidden. Those are my most disappointing books of the year. My top 5 most disappointing reads. And for my favorite reads, and this is hard, but for sure, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is my favorite read of the year. Also, we have the Elizabeth Acevedo books. We have With the Fire on High and The Poet X, which I don't own at the moment. Also, I really enjoyed Little Fires Everywhere for some reason. I had so much fun reviewing that. I will link it down below, but I did really enjoy this one. And the 5th book, I don't know, of course I liked Midnight Sun but I think I'm going to say Night of the Dragon, the conclusion of the Shadow of the Fox trilogy. I thought that was really good. And as for my favorite thrillers, I haven't read much, but The Good Daughter was my favorite between the 5 that I read. So yeah. Best books of 2020. And those are all the books that I read in 2020, best and worst. What was your favorite book and least favorite book of the year? Let me know down below, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!